Okay, so let's start with how should we record the wages journal? Okay, so based on the information that we're given, you have to use question 8.1's information as well as 8.6. Okay, so the first thing is who is our employee? So what's the name of our employee in this scenario? So whose wage are we busy documenting in our wage journal? You can just type in the information. Okay, so S Cruz, that's correct. Okay, so based on question 1, okay, so based on question 1, what was Miss Cruz's normal time that she worked during that week? What did we calculate in class? Okay, so Rafil we says it's 6,400, that's correct. So how we worked it out is we took the 40 hours she worked normal time or normal hours, multiplied per rate per hour, which is the 160, which gives us 6,400. What was the overtime Miss Cruz worked or earned? Okay, so Tomato says it's 3,120. That's correct. So how we calculated is we took the 53 hours, we deducted the 40 normal hours, we multiplied with the normal rate, which is 160, and then they say overtime is 1.5 times that. So we multiplied it with 1.5 times to get to the answer. Then the gross wage is our normal time and overtime added together, which gives us a gross wage of 9,520. Okay, now based on question 8.6, what is the pay as you earn that was deducted from Sarah during that week? So how much pay as you earn did we deduct? Okay, that's correct. Refill wear 2,541. Okay, the UIF, what is the UIF that we need to deduct from Sarah based on the information that was provided? Okay, so Tomato says it's 105. That's correct. So how do we calculate it? We took the 10,500 UIF remuneration that was provided in the question. We multiplied with 1% to give us 105. What column should you also complete simultaneously when you do that calculation? Which column would you also complete while you do that UIF calculation? And I'm just going to repeat my question. Okay, so Crazy says the UIF employer contributions. That's correct. So that's column I. You would do together with the UIF column E. At the same time, you would do both. Okay, so what other information did they give us? They told us she contributes how much towards her pension fund? Okay, 630. Okay, so she contributed 630. How much does her employer contribute towards her pension fund? Okay, so Refilwe and Tumelo says 945. That's correct. So how we got to that amount is we said the employer contributes 1 Rand 50 for every 1 Rand that Sarah contributes. So if Sarah contributed 630 Rand and the employer contributes 1 Rand 50, we take that 630, we multiply it with 1 Rand 50 to get to the 945 Rand. Okay, so in this scenario, the employer actually contributed more than Sarah. Okay, let's see what other information is there. What do we do with the STL remuneration? Where do we account for that? In which column do we account for the SDL remuneration information? Okay, so that's correct in the SDL column, which is J. But remember, the SDL remuneration is the amount that you will apply the 1% on. So that is the 9,120, and you multiply it with 1%, gives you 91 Rand. Okay. Now, total deductions is our pay-as-you-earn UIF and pension fund added together. So you have to work out the total deductions for that week. And then the net wage is your gross wage less your total deductions, which gives you an amount of 6,244 Rand. Okay, so that is the wage transaction. Now, if we move on to question 8.7, which is then the next section, let's quickly read what they've given us. Just going to share the next screen with you guys. Okay, so in question 8.7, they say post the wages journals from question 8.6 to your general ledger. And then they say use the following opening totals or balances on the 23rd. So that's the end of the previous week. And then they give you all the accounts that you have and then their opening balances. And they were nice to you, so they told you whether it's a credit or a debit balance. Okay. Now, because of the fact that they give you this information, when you do the general ledger account, you have to bring in the balance brought down. You have to show this. You will actually receive a mark for indicating that information when we look at wages journals. Okay, so this is how the general ledger accounts is slightly different when you do wages versus salaries. And now let's go back to our Excel. Okay, so the first account, they say you've got your EMP 201 account, and they say the balance for that is a credit balance of 10,000. So on the 23rd, we capture the balance brought down of 10,000 for the EMP2. Then for your, okay, it's FBI pension fund, we say the opening balance is 4,725 Rand. So we account for that opening balance. Then our wage expense, so that is our nominal account. Our current balance for the wage expense is a debit balance of 8,750. So our UIF contributions is 315 Rand, and our SDL contributions, they said the opening balance is 273, and then the last one is your pension fund, which is 2,835. Okay, so based on the information they've provided, that is step one, showing the opening balances. Okay, now based on the wage journal, if we look at the gross wages, what amount will we account for in our general ledger accounts? So if we look at column A, B, and C, which one will we account for and under what account? Okay, so let me repeat that. If you look at our wage journal, which is at the top of the page, if you take column A, B, and C, which one of those columns will you account for in your general ledger, and which general ledger account do you think we will use? You can use question 8.7 account names to assist you with answering which general ledger account. Okay, so Queasy says we're going to take the gross wages, which is column C, and we take it to the wage expense account. Okay, so Queasy, that's correct. So just like the salaries, we only take the gross amount. We don't take each and every individual account. We take the normal time and the gross time, the normal time and the overtime. That gives you a gross wage to our wage expense account. Okay, so we account for the full gross wages to our wage expense, and then we add it up to work out what is our current balance at the end of that month. Okay, now if we look at the deductions amount, where are we going to take column D? To which account will we take the pay as you earn that was deducted from our wage? To what general ledger account do you think will we take that? Okay, so the pay as you earn and the column D. To which general ledger account will we take that amount? Okay, so Tomelo says it goes to EMP 201 control account. Okay, now that is correct. So that deduction is what is paid over to SARS. So we show a wage expense, the pay as you earn, which is a 2,541. So I'm just going to make it like orange here, light orange there. So we take that to the EMP 201 account because that's what will be paid over to SARS. Okay, then the UIF amount, where do we take that? The 105. To which account will we take that? That's correct, Tamilo. So we also take it to the EMP 201 because that is what has been deducted from our employee but needs to be paid over to SARS. Okay, where do we take the pension fund amount that we've deducted from our employee? To which account will we take that amount? I'm just going to repeat that. Column F, the pension fund that was deducted from an employee's gross wage. To which general ledger account will we take that amount? Okay, so that pension fund, column F. Okay, so Tamilo says she thinks it goes to FBI pension fund, and that would be correct, Tamilo. So because it was deducted from our wage expenses, we take that amount to our pension fund. Okay, so now we've done all the deductions that were deducted from our salary. Where does the net wages amount go? To which account do we capture the net wages? Okay, Queasy, that's correct. Refilway, that's correct. We take it to creditors for wages. Okay, so we account for the creditors for wages. That's 6,244. Let's make this light blue. Goes there. Okay, so we're almost done. So now we've got employer contributions. One to UIF, one to SCL, one to pension fund. Now the main thing I said, remember, for employer contributions, this is the exception to the journals. Each of these amounts will have a debit as well as an equivalent credit. Okay, so you have to take that amount to two accounts in order to make sure that it balances. Okay, so let's start with the UIF. What are the two accounts that you would take it to and indicate what will be debited and what will be credited? So the UIF, what account will you debit? What account will you credit? Okay, so Refillway says for UIF, we will debit UIF contributions. That is correct. So if we go to the UIF contributions, we would debit it with 105 Rand to increase our contributions. Now, Refillway, what will we credit, or anyone else? So we've debited the 105. Now, what do we need to credit to make sure we've got a debit and a credit and that our accounting equation is balancing? What account will we credit to make sure we are balancing? Okay, we will credit the EMP 201. That's correct, Refillway. So in this case, we take UIF contributions to our EMP 201 control account with 105. Now the next one, SDL. What are we debiting? What are we crediting? Okay, so let's just repeat that. With the SDL, what account will you debit? What account will you credit? Okay, so Tomelo says we're going to debit the SDL contributions. That is correct. So we debit SDL contributions with the amount of 91 Rand, and then we add it up to get to what is the total expense for SDL contributions. So if we debit SDL contributions, what are we crediting? What account will we credit? Refillware, that's correct. Our EMP 201 account, we are going to credit it with the SDL, and then we add it all up to work out what is still outstanding that needs to be paid over to SARS. So we owe SARS at this stage 12,842 Rand. Now, the last thing we still need to account for is the pension fund contributions made by the employer. What account will we debit? What account will we credit? Okay, so we debit the pension fund contributions. That's correct, Refillware. So our pension fund contributions, we debit that with the 945 Rand. Oh, this is the FBI pension fund. Okay, so what do we credit now? We credit the FBI pension fund account. That is correct, with the 945 Rand. And that is how we've recorded our wages journal to our general ledger accounts. Okay. So question 8.8, which I haven't done, that is basically the same as what we've done with the salaries account. So that's why we're not going to discuss it in class today. Is where you just take the bank amount and record it again in your cash book payments journal, and then you transfer it to your general journals. So exactly the same as the salaries one, you will apply the same principle again. Okay. So what I want you guys to do for homework is there is a short video that explains Learning Unit 8. So please go watch it just to refresh and recap this learning unit. And then I want you to do question, it's question 8.9 and 8.10. I don't want you to do 8.8, but you can look at 8.8. I want you to go do the comprehensive questions for me. So that will give you a good indication if you understand the salaries and wages journals and accounting for it in your cash book and in your general ledger, as well as your sales or wage journals. And then based on that, it also shows you different ways of how they actually structure the information and can ask it in the question. So I want you to do those questions and go see if there's anything that you don't understand. And then you can just send me an email with specific questions relating to that. Okay, so before we log off for today, do you guys have any questions specifically on salaries and wages? There is a lot of information in this learning unit, but if you understand this, this is a learning unit where you can actually score a lot of marks in an exam because of the fact that it only has a few things where they can catch you out and the rest is pretty straightforward. So you take the information, you just record it where you need to. So is there anything you guys need me to re-explain or anything you're wondering about? Please just type your answer in the chat function. Otherwise, have a great week, guys. I've loaded the LAC activities for Friday on VC Learn already. So if you want to do it earlier, you are welcome to. And then I'll see you guys next week in class. Okay, so have a great day. Bye, guys.